Hello, and welcome to the Framework 1970. On today's show, we're going to walk through part three of a four-part series on an overview of a research study that was published in the Journal of Administrative Sciences in 2017 titled The Functions of a Servant Leader. In part one, we walk through the characteristics of a servant leader. In part two, we walk through the competencies of servant leadership. Today, we're going to walk through the outcomes that servant leaders have on an organization, on teams, and on individuals. And these outcomes are profound. They impact organizations not only from an individual level, but all the way from a team and the organizational level. And this article, this research study does a wonderful job of showing the impact that servant leadership has on individuals, teams, and organizations. So let's get to it. The outcomes linked to servant leadership were divided into three categories by the authors, namely individual outcomes, team outcomes, and organizational outcomes. Let's take a look at what the authors found in this extensive review of the literature as it pertains to these three categories, starting with individual outcomes. The authors found that servant leadership positively impacted individual outcomes related to work engagement, organizational citizenship behavior, innovative behavior, organizational commitment, trust, self-efficacy, job satisfaction, person-job fit, person-organizational fit, leader-member exchange, and work-life balance. Furthermore, it was negatively related to burnout and turnover. Servant leadership was also negatively correlated with disengagement. We have all seen the Gallup survey on global disengagement. The most recent surveys show that the impact of disengagement on the global economy was $7.8 trillion. That is a lot of money. Servant leaders increase engagement. They increase innovation. They develop confidence and competence in employees, which all leads to a very strong organization and a very competitive one. Servant leadership was positively related to four team or group outcomes, namely group organizational citizenship behavior, group identification, service climate and culture, and procedural justice climate. Now, procedural justice climate, just to give you some context to that, is sometimes called procedural fairness. It describes the idea how individuals regard the justice system as tied more to the perceived fairness of the process and how they were treated, rather than the perceived fairness of the outcome. So that's kind of an overview of what procedural justice climate is. So let's take a look at how servant leaders impact team outcomes. Think about the ability to collaborate, solve problems as a team, set team standards, build psychological safety, and other positively related team outcomes are all enhanced by servant leadership. That's why they have such a huge impact, not only on organizations and teams, but on performance overall for an organizational standpoint. Organizational outcomes tied to servant leadership are divided into two major organizational outcome categories which emerge from the data, namely customer service and sales performance. Servant leadership was positively related to customer service performance, service-oriented organizational citizenship behavior, customer value co-creation, customer trust in the firm, customer satisfaction, customer orientation, customer serving behavior, and serving enhancing behavior, as well as being negatively correlated or related to customer turnover. Servant leadership has been shown to impact sales performance, and this study shows how they do it in a variety of ways. In a study by Schwepker and Schultz, servant leadership increased sales performance directly. Another study indicated that the ethical climate mediated the relationship between servant leadership and sales performance. Servant leadership was also positively related to a serving culture, which in return enhanced organizational performance. Customer orientation was also positively influenced by servant leadership, which produced higher outcomes of performance. Servant leaders and servant leadership has been shown to produce happier employees. Happier and more engaged employees who trust the organization employees who are developed, employees who understand the vision and purpose of an organization, which all lead to higher performance. So servant leaders, they really drive performance through the culture they build and the people they build to drive the organization forward. The impact has been profound, and this study shows the impact that servant leaders have not only on individuals, teams, but on organizations. As Gallup showed last year in their engagement survey, their global engagement survey, the world has a $7.8 trillion problem, and that problem is disengagement. As you can see from this research study published in the Journal of Administrative Sciences in 2017, servant leaders have a profound impact on a company's performance. They have a profound impact on their culture, on the mindset that permeates an organization, from a team and an individual as well as an organizational level, because of their customer service orientation that they focus on, their ability to build people within that organization. Their focus is on development, their focus is on providing outstanding customer service, their focus is on enhancing culture, inclusion, and belonging, and that enhances a company's performance overall. So when you drive engagement within an organization, we know that that drives performance. When you have a mindset that thinks about the customer first and not pleasing the leader first, that the customer is the one that you're trying to take care of, that drives performance. And then when you develop people to not only fulfill the role they're in now, but fulfill the roles that are open to them later on in their career, it again drives this performance that servant leadership has shown. So is transformational leadership. There are really only two leadership styles from the research standpoint that have shown to enhance performance, enhance culture, enhance and drive an inclusive environment, enhance well-being and belonging, and that is servant and transformational leadership. We're focused on servant leadership here in this overview of the functions of a servant leader. We will focus on transformational leadership. That is kind of the framework that we're going to look at from a leadership standpoint, is framing both servant and transformational leadership, because those are the two styles that drive organizational performance. We're in a very competitive environment where performance matters, innovation matters. Servant leadership and transformational leadership drive innovation better than any other leadership style. So thanks for joining me on part 3 of the outcomes of a servant leader. We have looked at the characteristics of a servant leadership in part 1, the competencies in part 2, the outcomes in part 3. In part 4, we're going to finish our overview of this study by looking at the measures of servant leadership from an operational and strategic standpoint. Thanks for joining me here on The Framework. Have a great day.